Morning, everybody. It's Rebecca Simon Peter with Spiritual Mojo. 15 minutes to uplift your faith, uphold your spirit, and up level your consciousness. It's Sunday, and I love being with you all. Thanks so much for being here today. Really appreciate your presence and the community that we're forming here. I invite you to say hi in the comments and where you're tuning in from for this Spiritual Mojo. So today we're talking about how to live and lead through weird and crazy times. How to live and lead through weird and crazy times. And I think we can agree these are weird and crazy times. If you're a church leader, you know that you were trained to lead congregations through a certain amount of weird and crazy, right? Like life was different than the predecessors that we came after. You knew that you'd have to train harder. You knew that you'd have to don more hats and roles than your predecessors. You knew you'd have to work harder to get and keep young people. You knew you might even have to steward a church through a time of closure. And before 2020 hit, you knew that the future was going to be somewhat unpredictable and, all that sort of stuff. But nobody could have predicted what we're living through now. And in retrospect, I think even some of those tough times that we knew would be coming uh, seem easy now that we look back on it. So now you're doing everything you were doing before, if you're a church leader, while leading congregations through a global pandemic, dealing with ongoing racial reckonings, not sure if things are opened or closed. And meanwhile, people are still trying to predict the future, and that's as elusive as ever. So weird and crazy times. I don't even need to mention the political divisions and, just like what is the future going to be? I don't know about you, but when I was in seminary, definitely did not get a playbook for leading in times like these. Definitely did not. So that's why I want to give you three must do's for leading and living in weird and crazy times. Plus, I want to talk with you about kind of the flip side of the weird and crazy. So here is the world sort of spiraling out of control. It's spiraled, right? That's already a done deal. But there's this equally beautiful and cooperative world that's coming into sight right before us, that like an era of human cooperation and collaboration that didn't even seem possible before and that we weren't experiencing. So let's just look at a couple things. Scientists from around the globe quickly getting together to come up with, to harness fairly new technology, come up with six or half a dozen ways to produce vaccines. Scientists from all over the world figuring that stuff out. That's amazing. But less obvious is the way that strangers have come together. Now, you have your very own examples of that, and I would love it if you would put some comments in the chat. What have you seen about how strangers have come together to create like a safety net of resilience for each other, a safety net of community for each other? Well, a couple of examples that I know of. One is the site GoFundMe. Strangers have come together and raised tens of millions of dollars for each other to produce safety nets, community, helping people have enough money, enough food, enough all of that to survive these tough times, to fund brand new projects and to help people out. Strangers from across the world funding each other. So if the government wasn't able to step in, or churches or other community groups weren't able to step in, strangers came together and did that. I think that's awesome. Now think about all the meditation groups that have formed and the musical groups that have formed, the way 12-step groups have come together, gotten online and live streamed hope and help into people's living rooms. I mean, I just think that's awesome. When we weren't able to get out and go be with each other, we just figured out ways to come right into each other's homes, into each other's living rooms, and in some ways have more connection and more intimacy than we would have had otherwise. This is the flip side of weird and crazy. This is happening too. At the same time, things spiraling out of control, there's been this coming together and this collaborative safety net of interconnectivity that has been forming. And I think it's shown us, wow, not only are we capable of like wild, weird, crazy, fall apart stuff, we are capable of coming together in ways that are so beautiful and so unpredictable. We're connected. I'm part of a group, I've mentioned before, the Heart Math Institute, which is where the interconnectivity of science and spirituality come together. We had a beautiful conference a couple of weeks ago, people from around the world Zooming together. Out of that, several women decided we were in a breakout room. Hey, let's stay connected. So now I'm connected to this woman from, where is she? Virginia, another woman on the West Coast, and we're practicing some of these techniques together to create resilience in our hearts and stay connected. And I never would have met these people before. I certainly wouldn't have known what they look like. Certainly wouldn't be forming this community together. But it's all happening now because of the way that we're able to be resilient. So it's the flip side of weird and crazy, and it's all happening. So these two extremes remind me of that scripture. It may have already reminded you. Deuteronomy 30:19. And let me read here. I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life. I've set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life. Choose life that you and your descendants may live. In other words, so that you bring resilience into your whole network. Now, this is written long before internet and all of that, but look at how it still applies to us today. I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life. It's like in the same way we have before us right now. I've set before you chaos and creativity, God says. Like the choice is yours, and you can choose either. You can choose chaos, you can choose creativity. Now that's true if you're a leader or if you're just a liver. You're just a person like trying to make it through weird and crazy times. What will you choose? Chaos or creativity? We've seen folks have chosen chaos and folks have chosen creativity, and that's a real live option before us. So you may be wondering, well, shoot, how long is this all going to last? How long is weird and crazy going to be a live option and chaos going to be a live option? Well, I think I've mentioned in the past, but I want to bring it up again because it's really interesting. I learned through the Heart Math Institute that there's a strong correlation between this period of energies of change that are before us and whether chaos shows up in life or creativity shows up in life. And of course, those choices are always before us. We can see from Deuteronomy 30, which is written 3,000 years ago, and it's been a choice before us for a long time. But particularly now, from the year 2020 to 2025, it's a period of heightened choice because it's a period of heightened solar flares. Now, if you're one of those people who thought we are not impacted by the planets or by the solar system or the stars, I know, I thought that too, but the research shows actually we are. We are impacted by that because during periods of high solar activity, and this has been charted through the centuries, are periods of could be tremendous human upset in how things normally go, and it turns into human suffering and suffering for the planet, wars, more murder, more economic displacement. That's correlated with solar activity. High solar activity, more of that kind of suffering. But also high solar activity, more creativity. And there's been some beautiful research out there that's shown that can correlate that activity with what happens in human communities in terms of negativity and positivity. So tremendous inventiveness, tremendous creativity, and chaos. So if you're a leader, I want you to be aware that the next 5 years are very potent times. There's going to be all these energies of change. God says, I set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life. It might also be put, I set before you chaos and creativity, because we got solar flares. Choose creativity. So how do you choose creativity? Number one, do not underestimate your influence as a leader. That's tip number one. Do not underestimate your influence, your power, your impact as a leader. You have before you this time of channeling energies. Be aware of it and use it. Okay? And one of the ways to do that is to be visionary, is to always be thinking about what could you set before people? What sort of positive visions could you set before people? This is the time to do it. Visionless people, without a vision, the people perish. We know visionless people can wander into trouble. So you always want to set before people a very positive, high impact, positive, beautiful vision of what life could be and call people to that. So number one, don't underestimate your influence as a leader. Number two, use your influence wisely. Steer people towards that positive vision. Don't be afraid to say that positive vision. Say it, say it, say it until people are saying it back to you. Now, as a regular person operating within your work life, your home life, your family life, always have a positive vision for people. A positive vision about you, how you could positively impact people, come together as family, come together as friends, come together as neighbors. Hold that high vision for people. Do not underestimate your impact as a member of your family, as a member of your neighborhood, as a member of your workplace. You have a powerful impact. Every single person does. Use it. Use it because God is working through you. And then the third thing, this is maybe the most important thing, is declare what you are for. It's so easy to say what you're against. I don't like those people. I don't want to live that way. I'm going to be anti this. We don't do that. It's very easy because the world right now is sort of set up that way to polarize us, right? I'm against them. I'm against them. I'm against this. I'm against that. I'm not this. I'm not that. Don't go there. Resist the temptation to be against and instead take a higher road, a higher vibration, a higher vision, a higher consciousness, a higher connection with God, and state what you are for. What you're for. Because that way, even though you think, hey, we're these people and they are those people, when you say what you're for, you can draw all kinds of people together. That's what brings creativity. Chaos is us against them. Chaos is operating outside of the fabric that holds people together. Chaos tears people apart, us versus them. And even if you say, well, we're anti this, which makes us good, you set up the energies of us versus them and against. You don't want to do that. Instead, what are we for? We're for human thriving. We're for neighbors coming together. We're for everybody having a safe place to be. We're for people being loved. We're for people belonging. We're for people having shelter over their head. We're for being connected to each other. What are you for? That's the big thing I want you to practice this week, is saying what you are for. Even if in your head you're thinking, God, I don't want to be like those people. Yeah? What are you for? Practice doing that. Because when you choose something that you're for, you call forth the energies of collaboration. We're for the kingdom of God. We're for the beloved community. We're for people coming together. We're for love. And here's how we're going to show it, okay? So never underestimate your influence as a leader, as a person of influence. Use your influence wisely and declare what you are for. Those are the 3 tips of Spiritual Mojo this week. In the comments, put what you are for. Even if you're watching this later, still put that out there because that sends forth the positive energies into the world. Here's what I'm for today. I am for people loving and being loved. I am for people connecting and being connected. I'm for people knowing that they are awesome. I am for you knowing you are awesome. I am for transforming communities so that everybody gets to thrive. I'm for being connected. I'm for having fun. I'm for all of us having fun. I'm for people knowing that they are loved. I'm for happy families. I'm for dogs. It's not that I'm against cats. See how I did that? Just on the spot. What am I for? What are you for? Practice saying that out loud to people and inviting them into that conversation. And that's the way we raise the energies on the planet and we unleash our spiritual mojo. I'm for love. I'm for all of us being loved. And I'm for you. So that's Spiritual Mojo this week. Hey, I've got something really special coming up. I think it's going to happen this week. So tune back in, stay connected to the page. We've got some people that followed the 40 days of apostleship really powerfully at church, and I'm going to be interviewing the church leader and the members of the church, and they're going to be talking about all that they created through the 40 days of apostleship, which we just finished with Easter, and I want you to tune back in and get some ideas for yourself your people, your neighborhood, your family, how you can move from discipleship to apostleship, and how you can operate on that higher plane and what you can be for. All right, that's it. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here this week with me and you. I love you, and I'll see you next week. Take good care.